to reply from the Lassies will be interesting. This is the first public reply from the Lassies to be given by a transgender woman. Govan leads the way again. Jo is a writer, performer, poet and teacher. She is the author of about 80 plays which have been performed worldwide. In 2016, Jo will be performing a new play she has written with Chris Good for the National Theatre of Scotland. Amongst her many performances was appearing in the film High Heels Aren't Compulsory. You got that wrong. The Scottish government at the highest level has said high heels are compulsory. Ladies and gentlemen, Jo.
Wonderful to be here. My dears, I have a terrible confession to make. And no, it's... Oh, I never turned it on. I forgot to turn the microphone on. No, it's not that. And it's not that I was born in England, because I expect you've noticed... It's not that. It is that even though I've lived in Scotland since I was 17, my late wife was Scottish, my daughters are Scottish, my grandson is Scottish, and I am so proud to be a Scottish theatre maker. I have still never been to a Burns Supper. But what a place to start. I think I like it here. Maybe I'll come back. But the fact I'd never been to an event like this before meant I had no idea what I was supposed to be doing. I've had to do all kinds of research to find out, and as far as I can tell, my main job is to defend us ladies, the fairer and the weaker sex, from the merciless wit, the savage sharp sallies, the insults and depredations that have been visited upon us by our last speaker. That gorgeous man over there who's looking so lovely in his new beard. Isn't it interesting how you can embarrass a man by saying how good looking he is? But of course he is very good looking, but he's let us down. He's completely confused me. All this talk about female snails growing penises. What's that about, dear? He's been terribly nice to us. And besides, ladies, just look at us. Aren't we formidable? Do we really need defending? No. Does Liz Lockhead need defending? No. Does Nicola Sturgeon need defending? No, of course not. So I began to think I was maybe a bit irrelevant. What was I going to do? And I thought, well, maybe I need defending. Well, you never know, dear. Many people would say I had no business making the speech because my voice is too low. Or my shoulders are too broad. Or I have the wrong kind of vagina. How dreadful is that, ladies and gentlemen? Well, I know the people that say such things. They're the ones that used to shout insults at me every time I went out my front door. They're the ones that used to laugh in my face in the street and refer to me as it. They're the ones who in other countries in the world hunt down trans women like myself, prevent us earning a decent living, force us onto the streets to work as prostitutes, make it dangerous and sometimes deadly for us to show our faces. There they are. When they deny my right to be a woman, they are denying my right to be human. But of course, nobody does that sort of thing anymore to me. People are very nice to me. In fact, on the whole, gentlemen of a certain age, I don't know why I'm looking at the chairman here, but shall we say gentlemen of distinction, are usually very nice to me. They open doors for me as if I couldn't open them myself. They carry my suitcase up and down stairs. Once, one of these extraordinary creatures even helped me cross the road. And how lovely that was. But the funny thing about these encounters is that whenever these men speak to me, with honourable exceptions, of course, they are very condescending, as if I was somehow half-witted. And when this first happened to me, I was outraged. I thought, what's happening? When I was a man, people never used to speak to me like this. What is it? Do I look stupid all of a sudden? Well, no, it wasn't that. It was because I looked like a woman. Because you'd be surprised, or perhaps you wouldn't be surprised, having lived with this all your lives, how often men still think that they are lords of the universe, superior beings, and that us ladies are somehow beneath them in the scale of creation. And so they don't understand why someone like me, who was born high up, a lord of the world, should want to so demean myself by living as a woman. Well, let me tell you, it's a hell of a lot nicer. And it's very strange how much more comfortable I am in my skin. And that is a basic human right, that we are all enabled to live who we are, become who we are, whatever gender we happen to belong to. And besides, the toilets are so much nicer. Now, ladies, I don't know if you've ever been in a men's toilet. I don't recommend it. You're quite right, dear. Men's toilets smell. And do you know why? They're very strange men's toilets. There's a sort of a wall, and against the wall is a kind of trough. And men walk up to this trough, and they unzip their trousers, and then they take out that part of their anatomy that apparently qualifies them to be lords of the universe. And they point it at the trough. Now, my dears, it's a very big target, and they don't have very far to go. You would have thought they wouldn't miss. I'm sorry to say they do. And so, in front of this trough, there's a sort of a damp patch, which is why their toilets smell so bad. You see, I'm uniquely well qualified to talk about this. Ladies' toilets. Oh, gentlemen, you have no idea the joys you are missing. Ladies' toilets are lovely places. They're clean, they smell gorgeous. They've got nice mirrors, cubicles where you can be comfortable. They even sometimes have a chair by the mirror. I'm a bit puzzled by the chair, to be honest, but I imagine that if it's for women to, you know, if your friend is taking a long time in the cubicle, it's to wait for them to emerge. And the other thing that I love about ladies' toilets is, men's toilets are quite scary places. Men never look each other in the eye. They're kind of a bit, they are, aren't they? They're very kind of furtive about what they're doing. But women, wow. We look at each other. We meet each other's eyes and we smile. I love that. And that tells us a lot about what the difference is between being a man and being a woman in this world of ours. And something else that's very significant about all this is that I've been trying to find out, being so ignorant about this, I've been trying to find out when it was that the first woman stood up in a Burns Supper and gave the reply of the Lassies. You'd think that was a very obvious question, wouldn't you? But nobody knew. And eventually, I had to write this down, it's so complicated. Eventually, I wrote to the Robert Burns Birthplace Museum, and the curator, Mr. Sean McGlashan, he didn't know. So he wrote to the Centre for Robert Burns Studies at Glasgow University, and they didn't know. And so they wrote to Mr. Clark McGinn. Dear Mr. McGinn, he'd done his PhD on the history of Burns suppers, and he knew. Now, we all know, I think, don't we, that women have always been at Burns suppers, and they've been cooking it or serving it. They've always been there. And it's said that at the very first Burns Supper of all, there was a woman present, an unnamed woman. Poor love. All those drunken men. It must have been terrible. And in fact, she obviously did have a wretched time of it because apparently she never came back. And then there's a long, long silence until in 1876, think of that, 1876 is the first recorded reply of a woman. And she didn't speak, she sang. And I was tempted. But not for very long. And then there's another long silence until in 1920. That's the first recorded spoken reply in London. Not in Scotland, in London. And it wasn't until 1946 that the custom first started that we're following tonight. 1946. And these were students at Ayr Academy. And I guess the young women there must have got fed up. Bored to tears by all the rubbish the men were spouting. And said, enough is enough. We are going to say something. And I think we should honour those feisty young women of Ayr Academy who started this beautiful ceremony. Yeah. Well, that's a relief. I thought you were never going to do that. And it's strange, isn't it, when you think about Burns, how he loved women, how far ahead of his time he was in his thinking and his values, that he should be so often celebrated by such reactionary practices, because apparently there are still societies in which we are not allowed to attend. Extraordinary. He would have hated that. He would have loved being here tonight. He would have loved the fact that the great outpouring of poetry in this country just now. He would have loved the fact that our national poet is a woman. He would have loved the fact that we have a First Minister, and that our First Minister is a woman. And that she is such a courageous, such a canny, such a dedicated champion of women's rights, not only here, but throughout the whole wide world. And I think he would have been very happy that I'm standing here speaking to you. Because he had a generous spirit. He embraced humanity in every form. You know, him and his friends, who were all supporters and devotees of the French Revolution in its early days, of its ideals, they spoke of the tree of liberty. A tree of liberty, a wide, high, noble tree, under whose shelter everyone, no matter what their race, no matter what their gender, no matter what their age, could take shelter and become truly themselves. He would have loved women, both trans women and cis women, all those of us who over the centuries have had our voices disdained and mocked and silenced. He would love the fact that under the leaves of that tree we could discover our real selves and develop our true talents for the benefit of humanity. And so, I want you all to stand. Ladies, gentlemen, those of every gender and those of none, here and throughout the world, let's raise our glasses to the tree of liberty.